Welcome everybody. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Pinguy OS, which is this version is 13.10 beta 2. That's going to be the actually the final version for the 13.10 release cycle. And to explain why, they don't actually release a final version for interim releases. They only consider the LTS versions final. So these stay in beta. There's some notes on their website where you can download the ISO from a SourceForge and some information on known bugs. For instance, if you want to make sure that the Gnome extensions that they use for the customizations with Gnome 3.10.1 stay, just follow these instructions here. Make sure not to switch to just standard Gnome or any of the other Gnome versions. It will reset the defaults. So let's take a quick look from left to right. This is the menu here. So you can go through in the categories. Steam came pre-installed, which is nice. I haven't set it up and haven't tested it, but I imagine since it's based on 13.10 it'll work just fine. Now the design philosophy for Pinguy OS is to pick the best tools to get the job done, mostly in the category of being user-friendly. The distribution considers itself great for newbies, but I'm not sure I entirely agree, although I would say the LTS versions are wonderful for newbies. You can look through your web history and some pre-set up bookmarks here. And then of course places within your system, although that didn't seem to load the my home folder right then. It's probably because I already have File Manager open. So yeah, what it did was it opened up behind the window here. So if you check out the About Us, you could find their design philosophy. This is the Kazam icon. I actually added that for this screencast. Clementine comes pre-installed. I was listening to Coder Radio until a minute ago. You can use Thunderbird Mail, but if you like, you can install any other mail client you prefer. This is the Update Manager, and you'll notice the little screaming pinwheel of death from Mac OS 10. Frankly, it scares me to see that beach ball spitting around. You can switch between the two default languages, English UK and English US. And of course it set itself up as a 24-hour clock, which I'm fine with. It's a nice little menu setup, very similar to how Gnome 3.10 deals with the menus, except that it's white, off-white, grayish instead of flat black. So I can set the microphone here, and the volumes, the brightness, Wi-Fi, battery says is fully charged. It's really kind of cool. Let's take a quick look at well, the easiest way to look at all the applications is actually to go into Gnome itself. So let's check that out. You just hit the meta key, or in my case I have an Ubuntu sticker covering up what's probably a Windows sticker on my System 76 machine here. And these are the applications they have pre-set up in your favorites. Empathy, Shotwell for photo management, Libre Office Writer help, the Mint update, Clementine, and Files. Click on that little panel to see all the applications. So I'm going to look at everything here and scroll through really quickly. So Dropbox comes pre-installed, which is super useful. Oh, that's funny. I think I used this on the Mac before to rip some stuff off of an old iPod a couple years back. HTOP I added later. Wonderful way to look at system resources. Oops. Oh, Spotify. I have not actually used Spotify before, but XBMC, Wine Tricks. I'm guessing that Wine might be actually pre-installed. Let me see if it's mentioned here. Yes, it is. Whoops. Give you a good idea of what's included. PS3 media server. So I might be able to actually serve files from PinguyOS over to my PlayStation 3. That's cool. VLC, of course. So in many cases, there's 2 or 3 versions of similar applications to get the job done, but that's okay. The download for this distribution was about 2.3 gigs, if I remember right. And the updates after installation did take a while. Interesting, that's grayed out. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and start installing those updates. Even though I have a pretty quick internet connection, it still seems to take a little bit of time. Let's take a quick look. Now, there doesn't seem to be any shortcut for going from workspace to workspace, so I'm just going to click here onto workspace 2. And since this is based off of Gnome, you could just go ahead and fly your mouse over to here and add a workspace or add a document, which will automatically add a workspace. You can see that LibreOffice opened up very quickly. It's partly because I have an SSD on here, but also because PinguyOS uses as much available RAM as it needs. So it will cache information for you, which will increase time. Or less time. You'll have less time going through and editing stuff. Alright, let's take a look at the system preferences. So, Gnome 3.10. Some information about my computer. Let's take a look at background. So you can change the background for both the lock screen and the desktop itself. So here's some pictures that it automatically looks in my pictures folder. So I have a couple screenshots in there. Solid colors. These are really nice use of their simple logo with a bit of a nice little fade going on here. So it's really easy to go in and select a new desktop. You'll notice there was a little bit of artifacting there in Conky. That's actually normal. Although I'm not going to go into Conky and customize that light color again. So let's move to something a little bit more visible. So you can still look at Conky. That's interesting. It creates one moment. Looks like they saved a little bit of space unless I can change the settings on here. They really do try to keep things simple, so I'm going to guess that it scales up or down automatically. Okay, yeah, some of these have panel space already there. So, yeah, that's interesting. I prefer just having their little mimicky panel at the bottom. Okay, let's move forward. You can set up your notifications, whether or not they notify you or not. Comes in handy because on my Linux Mint Debian edition, I keep getting notified by my that my mouse has got a low battery just because it will go into sleep mode. Online accounts, region, and guess what that stuff does. Settings for the webcam, screen, display, keyboard. This is really elegant, actually. A big improvement from the previous version, or at least from 12.04, which is the stable release. Although, if I would suggest the stable version if you are in a production environment where you don't want to get alerted every time the Ubuntu kernel does some unexpected thing. What else we got here? Users and backup. Oh, that's cool. Deja Dupe backup tool. So, I mean, that's really something. Now, there was one thing that came pre-set up. Variety. This is kind of a cool feature. You can go in here and set it up to start variety when the computer starts. By default, it will do that. It'll change the wallpaper every 5 minutes, and you can set it to change on start. You can download wallpaper every 10 minutes, limit the download, and what you can do is tell it where to download the photos from. So I'll turn that on, and before this video is over, it should switch over to something. Okay, this is the Gnome Shell extension preferences. Whoops. So this is what they were talking about that will be might automatically disable. You can of course go in and play with it, play with the different settings. There's also the Gnome tweak tool. So if you've ever tweaked around in Gnome Shell, you'd be familiar with these. So you could turn items on and off. For instance, the menu that replaces the activities. So if you're not a big fan of having this menu here and then also having the activities menu like that, you could always turn it off and switch back to the standard set. And this is really nice because it bridges a gap between, in my opinion, between Cinnamon and Gnome 3. See, my system is doesn't know what to think of some of these languages that are set pre-installed, so there's plenty of information. Oh, look at this. Droid sans bold for window title, so because I'm going to want to change that back later. Okay, that just looks really silly. But you gotta give them credit for including plenty of fonts. Tell it what to do when the power button is pushed or when you're on battery. This can come in handy if you have a laptop where the speakers are, say, on the bottom of the laptop and you want to keep playing audio after you've closed it. And this is where you can add and remove items that come up on startup. So these things will actually run in the background. Docky, Shutter, Mint Update, all these items will start functioning as soon as you boot into the system. They've really taken a lot of time and effort to polish this, although I'm wondering how much of this theme is, well, it looks like they're using Elementary and a combination of things, so this is probably from the Elementary project. Still, looks really good, and if you want a more up-to-date distro, this is definitely a way to do it without having to install Ubuntu or even Linux Mint. Oh, Synaptic Package Manager. Nice. So you can see that 5 minutes just came through, so this video is running a little bit long, but it just grabbed and downloaded some artwork from the internet and placed it on my desktop. It does look a little strange with Conky having a bit of a delay, but that's very common with Conky. It's just how it deals with it, but maybe one day the Conky project will fix that. I feel like I'm missing something. Whoops. Oh. Cool. There was one thing that I wanted to show you guys really quick before I sign off for this video, and that was Shutter. This is nice because for screen grabbing, it'll grab the desktop or the window. You just go in there and save it. May have actually already did that for me. The only thing that I would change here is to when you hit the meta key to bring up menu. So I'm wondering if there is a shortcut for that. Oh, here we are. You can set up the keyboard shortcuts right here. So I'll have to look through these items and see what we can do, or what I can do here. Other than that, really solid distro, very clean, very simple, and very fast actually. Let's give you an idea on how much RAM I'm using and where my processors are being spent. So anyway, if you're interested in checking out PinguyOS, go ahead and download it. I'll leave some links in the show notes with the video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.